New week, same crippling injuries. Sean here with another episode of Locked On Raptors. On today's show, Vivek Jacob joins me to talk about the losses to the Indiana Pacers and the Boston Celtics over the weekend. Are the Raptors just a healthy stretch of time together away from being good once again? Or are there some bigger problems to play here? Scottie Barnes is shooting threes. Fred VanVleet looks amazing. We'll get into all that and so much more on today's episode of Locked On Raptors to begin your week.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to episode number 1067 of Locked On Raptors for Monday, November the 29th. I'm your host, Sean Woodley of RaptorsHQ.com. You can find me on Twitter as always at WoodleySean. You can find the show at Locked On Raptors, where you can find links to every single episode of the podcast. And of course, please make sure to check out the entirety of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are free and available on all your favorite podcast apps, so follow, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. And of course, you can subscribe to the show on YouTube as well. It's the link in my bio on Twitter. If you want to go find it that way, you can subscribe and be part of our little YouTube familia. All right, on today's show, which is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. You can check out PrizePicks.com, use the promo code NBA, or go to your app store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. We are going to talk about the Raptors' two losses over the weekend. Indiana on Friday to close out their interminable road trip, 114-97. And then last night, back home against the Boston Celtics, 109-97. The Celtics pull away late in this one in what was a pretty fun back-and-forth game, although it took 9,000 hours to play because Scott Foster was there. We're going to dig into that and our takeaways from there, give it the due to the game for both games as well. Joining me to do all that, of course, from Raptors.com, it's Vivek Jacob. What's going on, pal?
Nothing much. Just taking in the weekend, coming to terms with the fact that winter is definitely here. It's funny. Nick, the first practice back, he was like, "Man, gone for 2 weeks and we're back in the cold."
Yep. That's how it works. I am in that sort of weird phase where I'm eager for more snow to happen because the two ways by which I get my ass off the couch and don't sort of become just sort of a mass that is one with my couch is by biking and by cross-country skiing. And we're currently in that weird phase where it's like too cold and rainy and crappy to bike, but not enough snow to ski. And I have not done anything for like 2 weeks, and I feel like garbage. So I'm kind of hoping for a little more snow or maybe a spell of 10-degree days. Who's to say? Either way, part of my sitting on the couch entailed watching the Toronto Raptors over the course of the weekend against the Pacers and Celtics. We don't have to get into like nitty-gritty game-by-game breakdowns or anything like that. We'll kind of pull some bigger takeaways from the weekend at large. Vivek Jacob, where would you like to start here? What were your biggest takeaways? What was your biggest takeaway, it's non-pluralized, from the weekend?
Biggest takeaway is, with no Gary, with no OG, the spacing is just ugly.
Yep.
And it's just really difficult to operate in the half court. And you can see it, and you can see them talk about it as well, right? And I think that's part of why Scottie is taking those threes, which we can get to later.
We will.
But yeah, I think you look at the floor, and then, for me, there's like percentage sort of threat, and then there's gravity threat in terms of shooting the ball. And sure, you can see with teams that they, Pascal's started out shooting the ball this season pretty well, but he still doesn't have sort of that gravity threat, right? In terms of actually affecting a defense in terms of how they want to operate. They'll pack the paint and they'll take their chances on the kick out to either maybe get to him a little late or whatever it is. And that applies to pretty much everyone else on the roster, right? Like outside of Fred, who are you really afraid of in terms of shooting the three ball? Because guess what? Boucher is not even playing anymore, and he's not shooting it anywhere close to what he was last season.
Yeah, I mean, this is a conversation we've had, right? Is like when you look at the Raptors roster, in theory, there are a lot of good shooters with high percentages over, X amount of years. but it doesn't quite translate into like a beautiful space for everybody to operate because there are usually like 2 non-shooters out there paired with those 3, kind of dead-eye shooters that you might have. And maybe some of those dead-eye shooters like Chris Boucher are not what they actually are. Spiva Hailuk, I think, has kind of been branded as this great shooter, but he has been pretty rough from downtown this season. If you look at his career, he's only a 36% three-point shooter. It's not like he's JJ Redick out there. He's like a fine league average-ish shooter who is currently in a bit of a slump. I mean, he's had some moments here and there, but it is a lot of sort of, again, on paper shooting and not so much functional space that's out there, and especially when you're taking OG and Trent. I mean, it's just impossible to operate. And I think, I'm not really sure. I've kind of like zoned myself out of like the capital D discourse on Pascal Siakam. I can't do it anymore. It's too much. It's never like intelligent. So I'm not sure what people are really feeling about Siakam after the 2 games over the weekend where he goes, 7 of 17 on Friday for 17 points, 8 of 19 last night. Not crazy efficiency, but I think like it's all very much tied to the fact that there's no one available for him to pass out to. And you saw last night the Celtics were like eagerly sending 3 bodies his way. Like I likened it to with the sort of phenomenon of when you're at a club in Hull, Quebec, when you're 18, and you're just like 3 people grinding up on everybody. That's kind of what it felt like for Pascal Siakam. It looked like he was in the middle of club addiction during that game last night. And credit to him, he did a good job passing out of those situations and setting guys up. He had 5 assists in the game against Boston. I thought he probably should have had like 9 or 10 considering the reads he was making. It's just he was passing to Isaac Bonga a lot, and it's just there's not enough space out there. Yuta Watanabe's not quite back up to form offensively just yet, though he looks awesome on defense. And I am curious, what was his minute limit last night, because he only played 13 minutes. I thought he should have closed this game just because they were so starved for space and Precious Achiuwa was occupying so much of it down the middle, not really rolling with any sort of purpose, just kind of like, all right, I'm in the middle here and nobody is spacing around me. But back to the point about Siakam, like I thought he played a pretty reasonable game here, and I'm pretty excited about what things will look like if and ever they ever reach full health. We've been saying this all season long. It's been this like mythical if that's never really come to pass. Maybe it never will, but I believe in the structure of the team when they have all their guys. It's just when they don't have their guys, it reminds me so much of the Tampa season. I want to cry and curl up in the fetal position in the shower and just let it rain on me. Let me ask you this, Vivek. Like, are you like I made the point last night that I think the main 9-man rotation in theory, once everybody gets back, you get the starting. You get Fred, Scottie, Siakam, OG, Birch, Trent is like your top 6. You throw in Utah, you throw in Svi, you throw in Flynn and Precious. Like that group to me feels like a group that has enough in terms of complementary skill, in terms of overall talent to win some games here, play at like a 43-45 win pace, but they have not gotten there yet because they've not been healthy. Do you share the similar optimism that this fully healthy roster has a chance to be pretty good, or are you thinking there might be some more fundamental issues at play here?
I do think the ceiling of this team is a 43 to 45 win pace team. I have become less confident in them being able to actualize that ceiling because I am, increasingly concerned about the defense.
Right.
And, even at practice, you could sense some of the disappointment with where the team is at defensively. And I think, when they talk about communication breakdowns, I think that's one thing that troubles me, because when they're giving an example and they're saying it's literally the most basic example you can think of, where a big is coming to set a screen, you need to be calling that out for the guard.
Yeah.
If that is where the level of communication is right now, they have a long way to go.
Yeah.
And obviously Nick was asked about who his best communicators have been historically, and straight away he jumped to Kyle and Mark and Serge. And, guys that obviously are not here anymore.
As a tear streams down my face.
And obviously he put Fred in that mix as well. So, and that I think brings us to the other side of the issue, is just how dependent they are on Fred right now, where you need him out there for the spacing. You need him out there for the defensive communication. And until that load can be shared and spread around, it's going to continue to be a problem, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I guess it's sort of amplified, although not really, because it's not like Dragic's existence on the roster really was changing things much during his time, but he's away from the team. Now, we're going to talk about that coming up, how that affects things for the Raptors rotation here. We're going to talk about the defense, because I do want to dig a little bit more into it, because I did think there were some signs of progress against the Celtics last night, if not for an endless parade of fouls, which, some of them were warranted, some maybe not. I usually don't like to call it officiating, but oh my God, last night was a nightmare. We will get to that. I also want to talk about Scottie Barnes bombing threes. That's all coming up in the next segment here. We're going to get to that. But first, want to tell you about our friends over at PrizePicks, which is daily fantasy made easy. I love this. I know you're going to love it too. It is the new best NBA DFS prop game on the market. PrizePicks offers more NBA props than any other DFS prop operator and offers all the superstar players as well as bench players due to the game candidates, if you will. Recording just a handful of minutes each game. PrizePicks offers any prop you can think of, from points, rebounds, steals, blocks, anything in between, and you get a 100% instant deposit match when you put in $100 into your account, or up to $100 in your account. Just be sure to use the promo code NBA to get that 100% instant match up to $100. PrizePicks allows mixed sport entries as well, so you can pick the over on LeBron James and the under on Patrick Mahomes in the same entry if you like, and you can use their award-winning app on both the App Store and on Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. PrizePicks is safe and offers fast cash withdrawals as well. So don't hesitate. Head to prizepicks.com, use the promo code NBA, or go to your app store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Speaking of things made easy, DirecTV Stream is also one of our sponsors on today's show as well. And look, I had this problem every Sunday night. I want to watch the Raptors. I want to watch Great Canadian Baking Show with our friends Alan and Ann, who have been on the show before. And I want to watch Succession. All three things are on different apps. If I had DirecTV Stream, I could watch them all together without having to worry about juggling remotes. Oh no, where's my Apple TV remote? I lost it in the couch while I was sitting around for 8 hours today. It's just lost to the depths. No problem anymore, because DirecTV Stream is here to get your TV together. It brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes. No need to buy another device ever again. And the best part is there is no annual contract, so get rid of the clutter and the confusion. Make your Sunday night watching pleasing and not confusing and full of remotes, and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. Learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. And a reminder, this is only available to our wonderful listeners in the United States of America. All right, Big V, let's continue on here, shall we, with your first listen of the day. Thank you for making us your first listen, as always. Okay, let's begin with the defense, because that was the thread we were on before. I did think there was some progress in that Celtics game last night. The rotations were a lot crisper. I thought in particular Scottie Barnes looked the least lost he's looked in a very long time, which is good to see. I guess let's kind of reframe this question around what I had in the first segment about the health situation. Is the defense something you think is salvageable with Anunoby, Trent, Birch making their way back into the lineup? We know Birch has been really steady as like a backline rim protector type guy, although Precious Achiuwa has actually been like a way better overall rim protector so far this season. He's been a kind of a pleasant surprise on that end. Is the communication, you think, just like a few games of playing together away? Are there bigger issues at play, that maybe you've kind of inferred from things that Nick Nurse has said? Like, I think we saw exactly what the point of their defense is last night, and it worked to pretty good effect against, a Celtics team that they usually have a pretty good time with, especially with Jason Tatum, who went like 2 of 14 in this game. No one's getting mad about that, but that's whatever. 50.1 true shooting on the season for Jason Tatum. I'll just say that. Anyway, the defense, like, is there hope here once they get their guys back based on the skill sets, or is it a deeper issue for you once again?
There's hope for the defense in terms of, I think, getting back to around a league average level.
Sure.
I struggle to see the path to a top 10 defense.
Right.
I just think they're too young, too inexperienced. The problems they have that cause the breakdowns, whether it's communication, whether it's the attentiveness, that's lack of attentiveness that's leading to back cuts, things like that. and the one thing that has carried over from last season is you do see the 20 seconds of really good defense, and then in those final 4 seconds, it all just kind of falls apart. And so I think, to me, most people were probably right to think that this could be a top 10 defensive team. I was in like that minority and expected to be wrong. So it kind of sucks that I'm being proven right. But I think there's maybe hope in terms of getting to league average. And the biggest reason for that, I would say, is just, again, the communication issues. And then I'd also throw in just the margin for error. The trickle down effect of going from Fred to whoever's backing him up, going from Pascal to whoever is backing him up, going from Kem to whoever's backing him up is just too much.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, the big problem here too is that the defensive rebounding has totally evaporated. And like, again, you mentioned like the 20 good seconds of defense. A lot of the time that shot comes up within the first 20 seconds of the clock, and then they can't get the rebound on a scramble, and they are giving up second chance points. The reason, you think back to like the championship team, for example, or even the 2019-20 season, those were not good defensive rebounding teams by any means. They were bottom 10 in the league. But the reason you could get away with it is because teams were missing every shot they took against that defense when it was humming. And it was like, oh, we can give up the odd second chance bucket here and there because they're not getting anything else really, within the regular flow of the game. That's not the case here, because there are the breakdowns, because there are the blow-bys of Barnes and Siakam on the perimeter as they look to gain their footing there, because it's just, the rotations have been out of control. Like, it's just, you're not going to make your bones if you're giving up that many defensive rebounds. And it's been really, really rough lately. They're down to 11th in the league in total rebounding percentage. That's with by far the number one offensive rebounding percentage, which tells you just how bad their defensive rebounding has been. That they're only ahead of the Kings and the Wolves right now, and they've been slipping over the last few weeks here pretty consistently. So that's going to be a point to watch. And that, to me, is maybe where my skepticism creeps in. I think they can get the rotation side of things down. I think they can figure out like how to play with one another and, go to their strengths, but I don't know if they're going to have the juice to really, hone in on the defensive glass the way that you would hopefully like, even though I do think a lot of their guys are kind of plus rebounders for their size. Scottie's a good rebounder. Kem's a pretty solid rebounder, all that. I just don't know if they have like that sort of vacuum out there and the sort of smart guys who like strategically box out and stuff like that, like a Steven Adams would. You're not getting that with Precious Achiuwa. You're getting missed box outs and stuff like that. So that's a big concern. We should probably hit on a couple other items here, Vivek. Just because it was such a loaded weekend, we'll just kind of rattle through some rapid fire here. Goran Dragic, not with the team, dealing with a personal matter. I think it's kind of easy to read the tea leaves on this one, honestly. It just seems like they're just carrying on the way things had been. He's just not going to be with the team. What is your read on this situation, Big V? Are you sort of, what's your stance on how they've handled the Dragic thing? Do you think, what's your sort of overall read right now as Dragic is now away from the team as per a statement from the team yesterday?
I think Dragic has been a true pro.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first thing that comes to mind. And this seemed like more of an inevitability than, are they going to figure out a way to get him into the rotation?
Yeah.
Might as well get some quality family time over the holidays, and and then I guess they can start looking into what type of deals can possibly be had if there's a package involved, to get him away. I'm sure they'd like to recoup some type of asset, and then, cross the buyout bridge if they have to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess the reason all along I was kind of hoping they would play him was for this very purpose, right? Is to try to, oh, look how good Goran Dragic is. Can we interest you in perhaps returning us a low first-round pick or something like that? Like, I thought there was tangible value in playing him, not just for the trade side of things, but also because, like, they could use a vet. They could use a guy who can handle the ball and run an offense capably and all that. And I don't really agree with the decision to not play him at all. Like, I know Raptors fans don't like Dragic, and he's sort of persona non grata for a lot of people, but I think he tangibly could have helped things and actually improved his trade value by playing. And I think it's maybe a bit of a misstep from the team as to how they've worked or not worked him into the team this season. That said, I still think, maybe this time away, maybe he comes back, maybe an injury happens or something like that. There's still an opportunity to play him up before the deadline happens. There's still a lot of time between now and then. But I think I would classify the use of Dragic as a misstep so far this year. And I'm hoping he's good. I hope he's doing all right. I hope he's going to enjoy the family time and all that. Again, total pro so far, has not made a stink whatsoever. Nice of the Raptors, I guess, are doing right by him here to just like kind of let him go do his thing away from the team. But I would have preferred for sure if they had just played him, and maybe we're talking about potential trade packages that make some sense right now, as opposed to that kind of being a whole sort of ethereal thing we can't even really tackle at the moment. Last thing I want to hit here before we get to the dude of the game for the last two games here, Vivek, is Fred VanVleet. Sorry, not Fred VanVleet. I just spoiled it. God damn it. Scottie Barnes. Got to ask you about Scottie Barnes, because the man is putting up threes. It's beautiful. He didn't shoot any threes on Friday. He made up for it in a big way, taking 9 threes, hitting 4 of them against the Celtics on Sunday, continuing his streak of always having like a 6-minute section of a second or third quarter where he absolutely takes over and is like the driving force of the Raptors, and also continues the streak of really washing all of my other worries about this team away, because how can you be upset when Scottie Barnes is treating you this well? Thoughts on Scottie Barnes, 3-point marksman? Are you happy to see him firing them up? Is 9 too many? Is it not enough? Where are you at with Scottie Barnes right now as a 3-point shooter? He's up to 32% on the season, baby. I think 9 of 28 overall.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to see him shoot it. Obviously, without Gary and OG, the volume's got to be up too. So the 9 is what it is. Like, if you're open, just put it up there. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not going to get too carried away with the one game, because for me, show me 5-6 attempts every game for 5 games,
Sure.
And then I'll get excited.
Yeah.
But the one thing I think, he'll sort of have to work out of his mind is, to be that spacing threat. I'm sure because he's such a good cutter, because he's so good at attacking the offensive glass, at times he's going to have to really, hold himself at the 3-point line and say, no, I'm supposed to be spacing here and ready to shoot if it comes. And so I think that is something that's going to be a bit of a mental process, because that's just been such a natural part of his game. And so to sort of tell himself over and over that, yeah, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm ready to fire as soon as the pass comes.
Yeah, and I think, the 3-point shooting coming along here and just his eagerness to put it up is going to be really important. It will actually help him, I think, find his looks and get his buckets when OG is back, right? Because I think we saw a little bit there in like the 4 games OG and Pascal played together. Got a little bit more difficult for Scottie to find his looks. He's been like a second or third option for a large part of this season. He gets kind of pushed down to almost 5th duty behind Gary Trent in that starting 5 when everyone's there. And I think just having him able to space and willingly put up those threes, even if the defense is not going to care, honestly, that might be helpful, because he can just have wide open looks and practice them that way, like he's in the warm up before the game. I think that could be a useful way for him to be part of the offense without being like the central figure once OG is back. And it just kind of further amplifies the point that Scottie and Pascal very much fit together, and the notion that they couldn't was stupid all along. Watching those two guys who can both handle and pass play off of one another is a delight. I think Samson Folk was keeping a tally last night, like 5 different buckets they connected on with one another. One of Scottie's threes was on a beautiful kick out from Siakam on the strong side, gets it over to the weak wing. Scottie knocks it down. Like a few like sort of little, symbiotic, like, all right, here, you're going to cut here and I'm going to find you here. It just, the chemistry is coming along with those two guys really nicely. And the 3-point shooting from Barnes makes it all the more dangerous and promising and exciting. So that's my final note on Scottie Barnes.
Can I quickly drop something?
Yeah, go nuts.
So just with the whole Pascal Scottie fit thing, and some people have said, oh, it's counter to Scottie's development. No, playing with good players is good for his development because guess what? When you look at other stars, superstars, what do you say? Well, especially when it comes to, them being traded to another team or whatever, it's like they're superstars. They'll figure it out. And so part of, Scottie and Pascal and OG and Fred's process here is figuring it out. And that's important for his growth. And so if he's looking at, the floor right now and saying, yeah, I got to be able to space for Pascal to be able to have a clearer driving lane, or for Fred to have a clearer driving lane, those things are going to accelerate his development as well. So, I think the stuff about, it being counter to Scottie's development and all of that, I think the most important thing for Scottie's development is, with all those guys involved, is can you continue to be assertive and say, yeah, well, the team needs me right now.
Yep, and he's been doing that very, very well. I guess the counter to this, like the real life example of what you don't want, I don't think anyone's trying to see Scottie Barnes in the Jalen Green role right now. Jalen Green is not doing any meaningful development on that garbage-ass Rockets team, and it's because he has no good players to play with and learn how to play with. So very good point by you, Big V. That will send us into the Due to the Game segment coming up in just a second. We're going to hand out 2 Due to the Game awards. They're going to the same guy, all right? I already kind of spoiled it. We'll get to that in 1 second here. But first, want to tell you about Built Bar, our best friends over at Built Bar. And guess what? It is the best Monday of the year, Cyber Monday, and Built.com is the place to aim your mouse. Get at least 20% off everything delicious and healthy. That's 20% off site-wide, and even bigger discount on Built Boost, Broth, and Built Swag. A brand new Built Bar flavor has just landed as well for Cyber Monday. Caramel Almond Delight. It is in my fridge right now. It's delicious. I've already had one. I got 2 left, and it delivers everything it promises. Caramelized chocolate, check. Almonds, check. Delightful, double check, and be sure to get yours before they're gone. 150 calories and 17 grams of protein for that caramel almond delight. It is very indulgent, but not like any other candy bar you've ever had, because it's not a candy bar. It's a protein bar. It's a Built Bar, and it's delicious. And this season, maybe you're craving some white chocolate for a limited time. You can get a new special edition Built Bar Puffs flavor, white chocolate cheesecake. This yummy protein-filled treat with marshmallowy center is covered in white chocolate as well. 140 calories, 17 grams of protein. 'Tis the season to save and give your taste buds the gift of Built Bar. Get to Built.com for these incredible tasting new bars and 20% off everything at the site. Head to Built.com. Use the code LOCKED20 only today before it's too late. And guess what? BetOnline is also a sponsor for today's show as well. It is that time of year. It's the holiday season, meaning football is front and center, and nothing goes better with football than a little holiday lunching and snacking and grazing and meat boards, along with some betting. BetOnline has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this holiday season. Get to your new updated desktop or mobile website and sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with the promo code Locked On. You get that bonus. Put in $100, you get 50 extra bucks put into your account just by using that code Locked On. And it's not just football. BetOnline is pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait and take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. Perhaps you want to put some money on the Toronto Blue Jays to win the World Series after they signed Kevin Gausman last night. You can go and do that, so I highly recommend you do, because the Blue Jays are going to be really good next year, even if they did lose Marcus Semien. It's fine. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, we are stuffed with deals this holiday season. All right, Vivek, let's round this thing out with a quick due to the game, shall we? And look, pretty slim pickings over the weekend, as we've talked about. They're down 3 important rotation players, 2, I guess, on Friday, with Trent still playing in that game, though he did leave early. And the guys who are filling in those roles, not exactly lighting the world on fire, man. It's been kind of rough. I think, for example, last night, there was really 3 guys who drove the bus: Siakam, VanVleet, and Barnes. Everyone else pretty rough in their own right, and very much the same in that Pacers game on Friday. The starters continue to be good, everyone else not so much. So with the due to the game now on the line, we can't go with a Delano Banton or a Precious Achua or someone with a deep sort of rotation role, because they didn't do enough to earn that over the weekend. So we are giving it both times to one Fred VanVleet, getting 2 due to the games. this is the right call, right? Fred VanVleet is awesome. He's been so freaking good and continues to exhibit exemplary dude behavior.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think he's been the heart and soul of the team, and I think he's leading every which way he can. And right now, he just needs more help. And yeah, I will give a quick shout out for the Boston game, at least, to Malachi and I thought Justin Champagny came in and gave some good minutes as well. So, but like you said, not enough, and he needs more help. And if Utah can start knocking down some threes for however long that OG continues to be out, I mean, he's going to need to knock down threes regardless. But right now, you need those other sources, and Svi is another one. If he's going to continue to start, we got to see what the status is on Gary. Those guys need to make threes. They need to help the offense in the right way. He can't have the usage that Svi does and be as unproductive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Svi is like constantly kind of on the fringe of the due to the game. If he would just hit like 2 extra threes, he would have so many due to the game noms here. He's only won it one time so far, so it'd be nice for him to get it back on the road. By the way, Fred VanVleet with his 2 due to the game wins from the weekend is now the leaderboard, atop the leaderboard with 3 due to the game so far. I think it's fitting. He has not only been the team's best player this season in terms of production and driving the bus and driving winning, but also he does all the dude stuff that you really want out of your dude of the game. So I think it's pretty warranted. I think the thing too that's really impressive about Fred, it's not like he's made one single huge improvement in one specific area. He just feels like he's better at everything by like 10%. And he's just kind of brought the level of his overall game up. He, again, drives winning in a way that he hasn't necessarily in the past. And it's really hard to like not do the Kyle Lowry comp thing with the way he's been playing, because he is everything for this team right now. When he's on the floor, you feel good about their chances. When he's not, you feel like you're just kind of barely hanging on by your fingernails, as we see pretty regularly in the start of the fourth quarter and stuff like that. And, it would be really nice to see Fred VanVleet's very, very hard efforts rewarded with some teammates that are not letting him down when he's off the floor. So, more Malachi Flynn. I think, hopefully working him into like a 12 to 14 minute a game role where he's able to spell VanVleet for a real amount of time so Fred can stay fresh for the times that matter would be lovely. But in the meantime, he continues to do dude stuff over 40 minutes every single night. He does it exceptionally well. Shout out to Fred VanVleet. He's been an absolute delight this season. One of the highlights so far. All right, Vivek, that is going to do it for today's episode. Big thank you, as always, for being here. Love chatting with you on our Monday episodes, Big V Mondays. Everybody's talking about it, much like they're talking about the dude of the game. Where can people check out your work? Anything you want to plug right now?
Just the usual stuff, Raptors.com, CBC, and Complex Canada. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Vivek M. Jacob.
Outstanding. Coming up this week on the show, we are going to talk about a couple games, of course. They play Memphis on Tuesday, the Bucks on Thursday. I'll be back in the building tomorrow for the first time in a very, very long time. Very excited about that. So we'll dig into those games. And I'm probably going to try to get someone on, perhaps our pal Brad from Too Much Hoops, to talk about the defense and where things have gone wrong, where things can get better. All of that good stuff. It should be a loaded week. That's all coming up this week. You can also find me on Twitter at Woodley Sean. Subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. It's always appreciated. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Go make your second listen of the day. Locked On Fantasy Basketball's Josh Lloyd continues to kill it over there with all of his wonderful fantasy basketball expertise. And until tomorrow, have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.